because we have the whole set now, and so we feel like we have to get everything. Like we can't miss something and not get the set. And they know what they're doing. Restoration Games, you know you're trying to take my money, and you're just like, I'll just
but you are happily giving them all the money. So
this do be true. This do be true. So. I'm Devin.
And I'm Mary Kate.
And we're picking up pieces.
A channel all about board game pieces.
And how to pick them up. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing 5 different Kickstarters that intrigue us and that ends in April. So throughout this list, obviously by the title, we're going to be going through these 5 different Kickstarter or crowdfunding projects. And we're going to address them by the time the projects
in the order of when the campaign ends.
Yeah. So the first one is going to be April 6th, and that's going to be
Townfolk Tussle.
Go for it, Mary Kate.
So on Kickstarter, Townfolk Tussle is getting a reprint as well as 2 new expansions, the Foul Neighbors expansion and the Odd Jobs expansion. So this game is published by Panic Roll, and so Panic Roll is a small 3-person team. Townfolk Tussle is actually their first game and only game that they've published. This is a reprint. The first print run of Townfolk Tussle was a great success, and this has been a game that a lot of people have been looking forward to getting a reprint. This theme, it's like this old-timey cartoon theme, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
So the game is a boss battler, and so really the theme is interesting because most boss battlers you see in the more fantasy genre.
Yeah. And
you see a lot of campaign boss battlers. Whereas this is a scenario-based game. So you can sit down, play through a scenario, it is in waves, and then you're done. You don't have to keep meeting up with the same people to go over the story over and over. It's just sit down, play the game, and then put the game away. It kind of happens in 2 phases. So you have your explore and plan phase. You shop, you get some gear from the peddler to help you fight these guys, and you explore your setting. And then after that phase, you go into the fight phase where you move your people around on the board fighting these ruffians that, again, come in waves. And at the last wave, the boss has some special abilities. So during the fights, you can use different action items, you can use different things that are in the terrain on the map, and you can use gear that you got from the peddler. So these 2 new expansions add some more characters. So the Foul Neighbors expansion is the larger of the 2 expansions. It adds new settings of Sprinkle Falls and Misty Bluff. So you have 8 different new ruffians to fight, as well as 2 new townsfolk that you can play as. You add new terrain, different things that can be on the map that you can use, as well as some new tokens and things like that that add to the gameplay. The second expansion is the Odd Jobs expansion. It's the smaller of the 2 expansions, and its focus is just getting lots more gear into the peddler shop that you can then use in your battle. It also adds a new specific type of gear called deployables, which are little tokens that you'll actually place on the board to add to the terrain that you can then use. I like kind of a boss battler type game, so it's interesting to me. The like moving people around and fighting, and the theme is really unique. You don't really see often games with this theme.
Well, these games, like, again, we picked out games that actually intrigued us and games that we actually have had conversations about buying into our own personal collection. And Townfolk Tussle, where actually thematically I like a lot, and I think a lot of people like a lot. Like, I love the artwork of it and all that stuff. Mary Kate, on the other hand,
it's not my favorite.
It's not her favorite.
It's interesting and it's unique, so I kind of like the variety that it adds, but the theme is not like something that makes me like super excited.
I really enjoy that old cartoon style artwork, but and then on the inverse of that, mechanically speaking though, Boss Battlers is way up more Mary Kate's alley, where it's not so much more in my alley. And actually, I didn't know Townfolk Tussle was more of a scenario-based boss battler, which actually appeals to me more. because a lot of times I think a problem with boss battlers or campaign games is just the fact that you have to have that regular meetup, and it makes it way more harder to table because you have to have the same people that are willing to meet up regularly, and that can be very unrealistic at times. Even if it's just me and Kate, it's difficult to do. You want to play other games than just that one campaign game a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I think that's really appeals to us. Is there anything else that...
No, if you are interested in getting the reprint or any of the expansions or all of the above, it is on Kickstarter, and the campaign ends on April 6th, which is coming up really soon.
And it's definitely, it's been difficult to get a hold of. And I remember whenever we talked about the 4 questions to ask, like cost-wise, this game, I think it also probably end up going out of print again after the campaign's over due to such a small design team. So definitely, if you guys want it, that's definitely one to be looking out for. All right, so the second game is Unmatched Tales to Amaze, and the campaign ends April 10th. Obviously, you guys know we love Unmatched. Yes. We just did a whole video ranking all the Unmatched fighters out there. Really fun, love it a ton, and this just brings you more Unmatched with a twist. So, not only do you get new fighters, but you also now get the option to do cooperative Unmatched. Have no idea how it's going to work out in practicality, because it's more of just Unmatched with, you have 2 bosses, the Martian Invader and then also Mothman. And with those 2 bosses, they also have little tiny minions, and then also big minions such as like the Tarantula or Jersey Devil. And there's like, I think 6 or 7 of them that are added to this game, where you're trying to kill them and you all working together on this huge map. The map is way bigger than any of the other Unmatched maps that are currently out there in size. And so I think there are different event decks that happen that, of course, just like another cooperative game, he throws different things at you as you and your party of people are trying to take down these monsters. And so the cool thing about this, though, is that you can actually add your other Unmatched fighters into this. So it's interchangeable. But just note that the 2 main bosses, the 2 bad guys, you cannot play as them. But you do also get 4 new people. You get Annie Christmas, you get Tesla, you get Golden Bat, and then also Dr. Jill Trent. And I'm pretty pumped about it because thematically this is set kind of like in the golden age, like comic book art style a little bit, or like really 1920s. And so for me, I'm a 90s kid, and it definitely made me feel like watching the Iron Giant, this type of artwork. I love the Iron Giant, but so that's exactly what my mind went to. That's what it looks like. And also character-wise, Nikola Tesla, super pumped to play as him. I out of all of them, he really excites me with his how his coils are going to interact. And then also having Dr. Jill Trent, she has like a little tiny like a ray gun that looks different than any other token that another character has in the game that I haven't seen before. So definitely interested to pick it up. And we'll tell you guys later what games we actually are going to try to pick up. And so Unmatched, great game. Any thoughts from you?
I'm just kind of excited to see how it plays out. I think it'll be kind of the same, kind of like how you play your characters, and you can interchange your regular Unmatched fighters, but the feel will definitely be different.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of, we're all fighting these bosses together, feels, because it's definitely not going to be like unmatched.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm curious.
Yeah, and of course, I love competitive games. So I am hesitant about cooperative, but more unmatched means more better, because regardless, I get 4 new fighters, and it gets a new way to play it. So I don't know if I'm going to be as high up on it as other people are, but I'm still interested in these characters that I'm able to play as. And then benefits for the campaign is that you actually get little standees for the little tiny minions, not the main minions such as Tarantula or other things like that, but other little Martians, for example. And then also you get foil cards, one for each of the characters that you won't be able to get after campaign. Then the campaign also is shipping free for United States. Sadly, this is not available outside of the North America. And then if you're shipping it within Canada or say Hawaii, for example, you have to pay some shipping. So Just letting you guys know about that. So that was Unmatched.
Yep.
Next game, also ending on April 10th, is going to be Let's Go to Japan. So this was designed by Josh Wood and then also published by AEG. Obviously, AEG, huge publisher. They've made other games such as Space Base, Cascadia. You definitely reputable. You know you're going to get your games on time. I haven't heard any horror stories yet of their campaigns. And then also Josh Wood, he's made Cat Lady and Santa Monica. I think those are his two big other games that he's played. But thematically, this whole game is about you planning your trip to go to Japan. That is it. Like the game ends when you actually get to go to Japan. So that's like the very end of the game. The game is just you planning your
itinerary.
There we go. You guys are probably getting used to that now. Me messing up words and then you correcting it for me. Throughout Japan, and he came up with this idea, which me and Kate actually really relate, and I think that's one of the reasons why this game appeals to us so much thematically.
Yeah.
Him and his girlfriend, I believe, were planning on a trip to go to Japan around 2019, 2020, and they had the whole trip pretty much planned out, and then COVID happened, had to cancel the trip, and instead of actually going to Japan, he's like, well, I can make a game out of this. And so the whole game is planning a trip to go to Japan, and that's what he did. And me and Kate actually
did the same thing.
Did exactly the same thing, minus the creating of the game. So, I mean, if you want to say designer, Josh Wood and Devin Donahue, I think that would be okay.
Oh my gosh.
Pop my name right here, Devin, later. All right, so.
Future Devin, worry about that.
Future Devin, worry about that. And so it's really interesting. So how the game actually works out mechanically, it's kind of like a tableau builder where you have a main board, for each player has their own board where you have a Monday through Saturday, and you plan up, you put in your cards there, which are the different events you're going to go do throughout the week. And so it's also a drafting game where the events that you get is where you draft from a set of cards and you pass it to the next player. If I'm pretty sure I remember that correctly. We haven't played any of these games, of course. We ain't a big enough YouTube channel where they send us these games to play early. So we're right there with you. And so you're putting down those into your tableau. And depending on, you are traveling between Japan and Kyoto to try to visit both those locations. So obviously Kyoto, yeah. Man, I'm so bad. And so you're traveling in between these two, and you have to use trains depending on, like, you know, if you would go in between both of them throughout the day. And so you can actually go on a nicer train or a lower train, and depending on that, it adds to happiness or towards stress. And by the end of the game, if you get more happiness, it gives you more points. More stress, you get less points, depending on what you go do. And then finally, once the game ends, you kind of go one by one, Mondays, Tuesday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so on and so on, going through these events that have the events or the different locations you go travel, interact differently with each other, and that's how you kind of score. So the scoring system is actually you finally doing the trip. So that's that. Pretty cool thing about kind of like campaign benefits is that if you're really wanting to back this, and then getting the special edition, the box itself, gold foil, looks nice. You also get wooden pieces throughout the game for different tokens rather than, you know, a normal like plastic tokens. You also get it in a Fusoki cloth that the box comes into. And then you get 4 ceramic bowls to put your player pieces in. That looks pretty nice, and has like the Let's Go Japan main logo, and then also a little design inside the bowl. So that's actually pretty fun if you wanted to get that. But I think it's going to be widely available after the Kickstarter, so let that be known to you. And obviously, me and May Kate, this game appealed to us just solely based off of thematics. I mean, I've heard the game is solid, because I've heard of many different channels playing this game. But even the thematics alone, me and Kate love Japan. I mean, we watch some anime every now and then, or we do research about Japan, obviously, whenever we're going on the trip. So really, I mean, this was almost a little bit tailor-made for me and Kate, so definitely intrigues us a ton. So that's Let's Go to Japan.
All right, and our next game is Point City Its campaign ends on
April 15th.
April 15th. So Point City was designed by the team of 3 people at Flat Out Games. So Molly Johnson, Robert Melvin, and Sean Stankwich. And so they are the publishing team for Flat Out Games, and they're publishing this game in partnership with AEG, who they've also worked with in the past. So they're Flat Out Games and AEG together are responsible for games like Point Salad, Calico, Cascadia, Verdant, a lot of games that we've heard of before. And Point City is kind of like the next game, or like the second game at
Point Salad?
Yeah, it's made after Point Salad.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. So it's kind of a theme. It's just you're building these buildings to make a city to get points. So kind of like I was reading through how the game works, and my first thought was just like Splendor and Point Salad mixed together. And there's another creator, Dwayne at Blackboard Gaming, who said the exact same thing. We're on the same page with this game. So what you do is there's a grid of resources, and these are double-sided cards like in Point Salad. So one side of the card has a resource, but the other side of the card has a building which requires a resource. So you start off with just resources, and when you take 2 orthogonally adjacent cards off the grid and put them in your hand, you replace those 2 with the opposite card. So like when I take 2 resources, I now put down 2 buildings. And so everyone goes around and you take 2 adjacent cards, and then you can only take building cards that you have the resources to build. And so you would then take a building, play it using your resources, and now that building gives you like a permanent resource, like the cards in Splendor give you the permanent gems. And so then you can use the resources on the buildings you've made as well as the resources in your hand in order to build more buildings and get points. There are particular types of buildings called civic buildings, which get you little scoring tokens, which have things like, 2 points for every this type of building, or 2 points for every particular resource. So kind of like that Point Salad scoring mechanism where they show you lots of different ways to score points, as well as the points that the buildings give you themselves. You just go until the deck runs out, and then whoever has the most points wins.
Okay. So what about this game appeals to you?
It's pretty fun. I like Point Salad. I like Splendor. I kind of like the idea of having a game that does kind of both. It's a nice little small box card game. And this publisher has made some good smaller box games before, which is appealing to me. I like a good easy game to play. That you can just throw in there and mix in with other stuff.
Both of those games are more games Kate are more passionate about, especially Splendid. She loves Splendid. So having those 2 combined, I bet definitely run up your alley. For me, it's more like it's hard to get excited just about a simple card game, but they're really necessary to have in your collection, right? Whenever you're playing with people. So it doesn't excite me as much, but the idea of it definitely is enticing. And also, I bet it's going to be widely available after the campaign. I mean, Point Salad, you get that at Barnes & Noble. You get that any way you want to get it, you know? So, for sure.
The artwork is really nice, too.
The artwork is really nice? Okay, cool.
It's cute.
Nice. All right, so the last one is Wild Gardens, which ends, let me look real quick, ends April 19th. So Wild Gardens is designed by Isaac Vega and also published by Rose Gauntlet, which is a small publishing company that was started by Isaac Vega and also Lindsay Rode. And so the whole only other game that I think this company has published was Keystone North America. And so they both of them created this published company. I'm just going to read this off real quick, this one sentence. To pursue game designs with unique stories and themes that reflect a diverse world. And so these guys, obviously, they really love nature and they love making games that are after that and more realistic, so far at least. And so this game, Wild Gardens, is all focused about foraging, making food for customers, and then serving that food. And so it seems really cool. If you guys are watching our channel, you'll pick up that me and Kate love really niche themes and very unique themes that other games don't have. And so thematically, I mean, I don't know if any other game that is actually about you going to forge some different ingredients in order to fill out, I guess, different recipes to make them to serve to these guests. And so mechanically how that works out is kind of like there's a main worker on the foraging board where you get those ingredients, and then you have those cards that have like, oh, say if you need like, I don't know the ingredients exactly on the game, but like say like 2 onions and tomato or something like that to make this ingredient. And then you have different customers that want different type of food. So all the different type of recipes have a little icon in the corner saying this is a different type of category of food that it is. And then these customers just want that category of food. So they're not saying like, exactly give me this exact menu or this exact food item. And so while you're doing that, you also have your own personal player board where the game actually increasingly gets more asymmetrical or increasingly gets more unique to you, the player, because you can go to the library and learn different traits about foraging or other things like that throughout the game in order to build up your knowledge. And so different players can do it in different ways. So that's pretty cool. And then also a little side token or side piece is that at the end of each round, you actually start losing actions. But whenever you lose an action, you gain little special abilities or different bonuses. Right. It's pretty interesting. Again, I don't know too much about it. It's the only game also that's not on Kickstarter. It's on Back-A-Kit out of this list. But again, thematically, it is appealing. I really enjoy it thematically.
Yeah, I think this game sounds really cool. It's pretty, and then I like the idea of going to forage for things and then making food out of what grows naturally in like the area around you. I think that's kind of a cool theme to promote.
I hope that the mechanics of it makes me feel like I'm doing exactly what it's doing because of the game being so unique thematically. And it definitely seems like the game designer wants the theme to be bleeded throughout the whole game, not just in looks, but how you actually play the game. But I think it's going to be a pretty difficult game to actually achieve that because foraging is such a big concept, and then you have making food is such a big concept. So I think it's going to be a hard thing to task to do. But it's definitely interesting. So me and Kate wanted to vocalize that to you guys and let you guys know that. So those are 5 games that we thought were intriguing. And out of these 5 games, we actually want to let you guys know what games we're actually already decided that we're going to back. So we are going to back Unmatched. That's a no-brainer. Yeah. I mean, we're definitely going to back that game. We'll always get by anything from Unmatched because we have the whole set now, and so we feel like we have to get everything. Like we can't miss something and not get the set. And they know what they're doing. Restoration Games, you know you're trying to take my money, and you just like, I'll just keep pumping out. But you are happily
giving them all the money. So
this do be true. This do be true. So Unmatched, and then the other one. So financially speaking, we're debating between 2. So Townsfolk Tussle, we would choose that one hands down, but it's so expensive. Especially like if you want to get it, you almost want to get all of it. I mean, you guys understand the issue, and it's like over $200.
Yeah.
So that's a lot for one game. So we're debating between that or also Let's Go to Japan, because Let's Go to Japan again thematically just straight up. It appeals to me, Kate. It seems like it's kind of made for us. But I think that game's going to be widely available after the campaign. But it's at a way cheaper price point. So it comes down to those 2 things. So out of all the games, those are the 3 that we are actually considering buying. And with one Unmatched definitely happening, and the other 2, we're going to pick between one of them.
Although the garden one also sounds really cool.
Okay, well, add our garden one. And might as well add Point City. Why not? Let's add all of them.
I mean, I didn't do the research on the garden one. You did. Now I'm hearing about it. Like,
yeah. It's pretty cool, definitely. And also, I love the idea of supporting smaller companies and smaller publishing companies. You know, so that's a plus for Townsfolk Tussle and also Wild Gardens. But more importantly, we just want to let you know that we value all of you guys, and if we had the chance, we love to play board games with every single one of you. So until next time, bye.
Bye.